Hello student, welcome to our YouTube channel, Ecademy, Shukla Market, Salori, Prayagraj. Today we are going to start the SST class 10, the topic resources and development. What is resource? Anything which is available on the earth and we can use it by the application of the technology and also it is economically feasible, means we can and earn more than the we spend on the extraction of the resources. So, as the definition of the resource. What is the resource? Everything. Everything available in our environment, which can be used to satisfy our needs, provided it is technologically accessible, economically feasible, and culturally acceptable, can be termed the resources. Means everything which are available in our the environment, our surrounding, which can be used to satisfy. Means we can use to satisfy to fulfill the requirement provided. But it should be there technologically accessible. Means we have the technology to extract these things, and economically feasible means that the production cost is not less than the selling cost, and culturally acceptable means that it is the acceptable by the culturally, means by the people, that is not the illegal or unesthetic ignorant resources. Means anything, everything which are available in environment and we can use it by the application of the technology and by the institution, means that the human beings, the physical environment and technology and the institution, they have the interaction. They interact to each other to form a resource. The process of transforming of the things available in our environment involves an interactive relationship between nature. Means if we are going to use these resources by the application of the technology, we have to transform, we have to change to something, to interact, to use. And we have the relationship with nature, physical environment, and the technology and the institutions which are involved in the extraction of the resources. There are several institutions which will plant and extract these resources. The process of the transformation of things available in our environment involves interactive relationship between nature, technology, and institutions. The human beings interact with the nature through technology and create institutions to accelerate their economic development. Means by the technology, if there is no resource, then we cannot use the resources for the use of our various purposes. Then yes, there should be a technology and the physical environment, and human should be knowledge of the technical knowledge, and the institution means should be some institution which will be planned to extraction, so that the it can be accelerated, it can be pace of the economic development. So these resources can be classified in the following way. There are the classification of the resources. First is one is the on the basis of origin, means that from which they have obtained. Other biotic resources are the abiotic resources. Biotic resources are those resources which is obtained from the living thing. Abiotic resources are those resources which are the non-living, which we obtained from the non-living things. On the basis of exhaustibility, used up or it can be renewable or and non-renewable. Means that when if we use it, then we can again regenerate it or not. And non-renewable means that anything which we have used and for the making it there will be used up by the long duration to maintain it. So in our lifetimes we cannot obtain, so that the region is known as the non-renewable, means we cannot renew in the within the time, but there we need of the millions of years and the several of years be to become the useful. On the basis of ownership, means which is the honor of the resources. The first is the individual resources, means that resource which is belong to only a single person or community or belongs to the community of any area. National means it is the property of the central government of a nation or any country. And international means it is the property which belongs to the different types of the nation. It is the international. So here is the interdependent relationship between nature, technology and institution, means human is at the central position which can interact with the environment and technology, and also that makes the institution to face up the resources. This is the flow diagram. Resources, it can be divided in the natural and the human resource. Natural resource which is available in the nature, renewable, non-renewable. Renewable which can be renewed, means it can be continuous, it cannot be exhausted. It is a continuous or the flow. Example, wind, water, or the solar energy. These all are the renewable, which we can be renew within the time. Biological res- resources, that is a natural vegetation, forest and the wildlife. We can also renew these things. And the non-renewable resources means recyclable. We can recycle it. That are the metals. And non-recyclable which we cannot recycle, we can, that is the fossil fuels. And the human, there is the structure and the distribution and quantity and the quality. It is the human resource. What is the quantity and also quality of the human being. And the structures and institutions. There are the several structures and the institutions which are the involved. These all are the human resource. This is the classification of the resources. Next, the types of the resources. The types of the resource. First, on the basis of the resources, these are the biotic resource and the abiotic resource. Biotic means living, means which we can obtain from the living organism. These are the obtained from the biosphere, means where the flora and fauna, animals and the plants is used for the extraction of the resource. These are the obtained from the biosphere and have life, such as the human being, flora, fauna, fisheries, livestock, etc. These all are the biotic resources, means we can obtain the resource by the Second one is the abortive resources. Abortive resources mean the non-living resources. Means we can obtain the resources from the non-living, means those things which have not the life. These are known as the abiotic resources. Rocks and minerals. These all are the abiotic resources. The second one is the classification on the basis of exhaustibility. On the basis of exhaustibility. Renewable resources. The resources which can be renewed or reproduced by the physical, chemical, and the mechanical process are known as the renewable or replenishable resources. Means that those resources which can be renewed or reproduced by the physical, chemical, or mechanical process by the using the different types of the process. If we can obtain, we can renew that resources by the physical methods or the chemical methods or mechanical process, then we know the resources are the renewable resources. For example, solar and the wind energy, water, forest and wildlife, which we can renew, etc. The renewable resources may be further be divided into continuous or flow. Next one is the non-renewable resources. Non-renewable resources. These occur over a very long geological time. Minerals and the fossil fuels are example of such resources. These resources take millions of years in the formation. Means once will use all the resources, then it have the need of the millions of years to become the next formation of these substances. So that's the reason we call the non-renewable resources, means which is not renew within the our lifetime. Some of the resources like metals are recyclable. It means we can recycle that degrade, and again we make the useful things from that the metal. So it is the recycle, means we can recycle to that substance when it has been degraded. We, after the degradation, we can again use in the changing the different form. And some like fossil fuels cannot be recycled. Fossil fuels, it cannot be recycled once it is used up, then we cannot not obtained again and get exhausted with their use. Once we can use it, get exhausted, it can finish, so we cannot reproduce. That's the reason it is known as the non-renewable resources. Next one, the on the basis of ownership, which is the owners of the resources. The individual resources means these are they also owned privately by the individual. It is a property of any persons, individual persons property, that is the private property. Many farmers own land which is allotted to them by the government against the payment of the revenue. These all are the individual resources. Government take the revenue. In villages, there are people with land ownership, but there are many who are landless. There are several persons who have the ownership, means they had own land, and also there are several landless persons, means who have no any land. Urban people own plots, houses, and other property, plantation, pasture land, ponds, water in the wells. These are some of the examples of the resources ownership by individual, means so it is owned by the any single person or privately owned. Make a list of resources owned by your household in the exercise part. Next, community owned resources, means there are the resources which are accessible to all the members of the community or the village, means the commons are the everyone, anybody can use these resources. There are resources which are accessible to all the members of the community. Means it is right to every person of the community, they can use the resource for their requirement. Village commons, grazing ground, pastures where in the village there are the common grazing grounds. Anybody can graze their pets, animals, and burial grounds where we can bury the dead body in the village. Next one is the ponds, public parks, picnic spots, playgrounds in urban areas, de accessible to all the people living there. So this is the community resources, means anybody can use that resource with national resources. Technically, 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 all the resources belong to the nations. Means any of the resource, it is the property of the nations, of the country. Everything. The country has legal powers to acquire even private property for public good. If there is a need of the public, private property also, they can take the right to the government. They can take the private property also for the benefit of the people or the persons. So you might have seen roads, canals, railway being constructed on the fields owned by some individuals. Means it is the property of the any individual, but the railway, canals, and the roads, it is the taken by the government, and either they will provide the compensation or without the compensation they can use that thing. Urban development hubs which get empowered by the government to acquire land. They have the empowered and they can use the land. This is the national resources because it is any resource of any country, it is the resource of the nation. So they can take it anytime. So all the mineral, water resources, forest, wildlife, and land within the political boundaries. So all the minerals, water resources, forest, wildlife, land within the political boundaries and oceanic area, up to 12 nautical miles from the coast, termed as the territorial water resource therein belong to the nation. Means any resources with about 12 nautical miles, either it is the water resource, minerals, forest, wildlife, this is the part of the nation. Next, the international resources. There are international institutions which regulate some resources. Some resources are regulated by the international institutions. That is, they are known as the international resources. The oceanic resource beyond 200 nautical miles of the coastline of the country belong to open ocean, and no individual country can utilize this without the concurrence of the international. Means in oceanic resources beyond 200 nautical miles of the coastline, it is not in the property of any single country, but it can be utilized with the concurrence of the international rules. So India has got the right to mine. This important point, India has got the right to mine the manganese nodules from the bed of the Indian Ocean, from that area which lies beyond the exclusive economic zone. It is the away from the exclusive economic zone. It identifies some other resources which are international in nature. Next one is the on the basis of status of development. On the basis of the status of the development. On the basis of status of development, we can divide it in the potential resources which are found in the region but have not been utilized. In those resources which have been found out but not used yet. For example, the western part of India, particularly Rajasthan and Gujarat, have enormous potential for the development of wind and solar energy. The Rajasthan and Gujarat have the enormous potential. They have the capacity. They can develop the solar wind energy and the solar energy, but so far these have not been developed properly. Means they have not developed properly these resources, but they have the potential. They can use it at any time if they have the financial. Second one, the developed resources which are surveyed and their quality and quantity have been determined for utilization. Means they are surveyed and their quality and the quantity have been determined, been identified, and for the utilization. It has been assessed and surveyed. The development of the resources depend on the technology and level of their utility. Means that any resource we can use only if they are the technologically accessible and feasible. Means the production cost is not more than the selling cost. Stock. Next one is the stock. Material in the environment which have the potential to satisfy human need, but human beings do not have the appropriate technology to access these are included among stock. Means those materials which are available in the environment. But the problem is that we have not the appropriate technology to access to these substances. If they have that technology, we can use the resources. For example, water is a compound of two gases, hydrogen and oxygen. If we can develop, we have the technology, then we can develop it, the resource. Hydrogen can be used as a rich source of energy, but we do not have advanced technical know how to use it. We have the no knowledge how to use it for the purpose. Hence, it can be considered as the stock. These are the stock. Reserves. Reserves are the subset of the stock which can be put into use with the help of existing technical know-how, but their use has not been started. Means these are the subset of the stock which can be put into use with the help of existing technology. Means that we have the technical knowledge, we can use it, but we have not started till yet these resources. Means we have the technology which we can employ to obtain the resources, but till today has not been started. This can be used for the meeting future requirements. Means we can use in the future requirements. The river water can be used for generating hydroelectric power, but presently it is being utilized only to a limited extent. Means we have the resources only. Thus, the water in the dams, forests, etc. is a reserve which can be used in the future. When we have the need, then we can use it. Next, the sustainable development. What is the sustainable? It is important for the examination. Sustainable development. Sustainable development, economic development means development should take place without the damaging the environment, and development in the present should not compromise with the needs of the future generation. Means development should be take place without damaging. Means we can develop, but we should not destroy or damage the environment and the development of the present. And the present development should not be compromised with the need of the future generation. The future generation have also the need of the resources. If we used all the resources too excessive, then there will be shortage of these resources in the next generation for the upcoming persons or people in the next generation. Next one is the Rio de Janeiro Earth Summit 1992. It is the important for the objective purpose. Also, in June 1992, more than 100 heads of the state met in the Rio de Janeiro in Brazil for the first International Earth Summit. There were organized an Earth Summit in the Rio de Janeiro in the Brazil. Hence, it is also called the Rio Summit or the Earth Summit. In 1990, the summit was convened for the addressing urgent problems and environmental protection. Means the main theme were the urgent problems. The convent for the addressing urgent problems, the different types of issues which has been arise due to the pollution and other things. Environmental protection should be main theme and socio-economic development at the global level. So the assembled leaders signed the declaration on the global climate change. Means the assembled different countries, peoples, head of the different countries, they have signed the declaration on the global climate change and biological diversity. The Rio Convention endorsed the Global Forest Principle and adopted Agenda 21. Means in this meeting, in summit, they have convinced at the for the 21 agenda on which the country will be work. Different countries will be one. That is the Agenda 21. In the declaration signed by the world leaders in 1992, it is asked in the short question answer also. It is that declaration signed by the world leaders in 1992 at the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, which took place in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. It aims at achieving global sustainable development. It is an agenda to combat environmental damage, poverty, disease through global cooperation and common interest, mutual needs, and the shared responsibility. And a major objective of the Agenda 20 is that every local government should draw its own local Agenda 21. Means there were this 21 point on which they were agreed and globally to work on that issues, just like the environmental damage, poverty, diseases through global cooperation. Means they will be help to each other nations for the fulfilling the target of the 21 goals. But mutual need and the shared responsibility. One major objective of the agenda was the every government have its local issues and local every local government should draw its a local agenda. There should be a local agenda on which it has to be work. In this lecture, we have studied the resources and the different types of the organization. In the next class, we will study this remaining part of the chapter. So please like, share, and subscribe our channel for the good and knowledgeful video. Thank you for watching.